Peace, everyone. Welcome to another episode. And today I'm going to be talking about the kind of abuse that nobody else sees except the one who is being abused. And that can be extremely isolating. It can be exhausting. It can literally, it's called crazy making, right? Because you feel no one else can see you. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's dive right into it. Bismillah.
From beautiful seas to flourishing legacies.
One of the things that I struggle with the most is dealing with people who are passive aggressive. And the reason why is because they can do things that is in front of everybody else, but you are the only one who is experiencing it. And it's a very covert form of abuse. And when you try and tell the people around you, it can seem extremely futile. It could be many reasons why this person said the thing that they did, or maybe they just forgot to say something or invite you to something, or maybe they were so overwhelmed and that's not what they really meant, right? I don't know if you've experienced this before. I have experienced it many times and it is extremely exhausting. It's exhausting because I feel like no one is seeing what I'm seeing. And then I began to question myself in the past if this is even actually happening. And I would continuously get myself and be present in situations that were constantly demeaning, questioning my sense of self, and it just was not a good place. So one thing to note and one main lesson that I want you to take away is that your experience is real. It is valid, especially if it is the one where you are dealing with someone who is covertly abusive. I'm going to say covertly abusive again, covertly abusive, because that is how certain kinds of people who grew up in an environment where it was looked down upon, it was beaten out of them even, it was treated in a way that if they expressed their emotions, specifically if they expressed anger, that was unacceptable. So what happens is these people grow up and they begin to be covertly aggressive, and that is still a kind of aggression in certain slights that they'll say to you. They might be talking about a general conversation and then they'll just kind of dig at you, and it's done in such a context that, again, people do not see what you are seeing, and it can feel really isolating sometimes because you can even start doubting yourself, especially when we live in a world that kind of validates that experience and this toxic positivity, see the world in a good place and try and be happy all the time, and grief is frowned upon, and don't be depressed because that is a mental illness, and etc., right? So a lot of things can feel very isolating. So what I wanted to also share with you is that these people, they can be very normal with other people, right? And what I mean by that is that the way that these people are acting can feel like as if, okay, surely they will be acting toward other people the same way, and they will be, and other people will be feeling how I'm feeling, right? And that is not correct, because what happens is that if you are a person who has been kind of targeted by these kind of people, it's a specific target against you. Normally a person is targeted by a narcissist or by a covert abuser or by someone who is toxic because that person who is abusing is threatened, right? It's normally from a feeling of threat. There is envy involved. A lot of the time there is anger, but mostly it's because they've threatened. Now, a person, if they are in a nervous system response, this is a biological level, right? If a person is in a nervous system response, they are not going to be acting like they are when they feel safe. And when a person is threatened, they will go into two main reactions, right? And one, if this reaction does not work. The first one is that they will run away as far as possible, right? Which isn't normally what an abuser does. So the second one is what the abuser does. They will fight. They will go into fight mode. And fight, by the way, all of these kind of responses to threats are very natural. They are very necessary. There's nothing wrong with them. But when they have been exasperated, when they have become overused or confused, it can become maladaptive in adulthood. And what that leads to is people, for example, who have a fight response to a danger, they become the danger themselves. They become the one who inflicts the abuse on other people covertly or overtly. Whether you see it or whether you don't see it, they're the ones who become these abusers. And when a person sees someone they are threatened with, and if they are a kind of fight person, they're the ones who like to fight back, they will target a person. And this is the unhealthy way. They will target a person and they will treat them in a certain way because they want something from them. There is an agenda, whether that is a self-validation, whether there is this kind of like, oh, I'm a good person because this person is crazy or this person is not making sense and no one believes them. So that means I must be right. So they can continue living in this delusion that they have created inside of their own heads, because of a reaction to their own abuse to them. I hope that you're following me. I'm sorry if you lost me. But the main point is this, right? It's this idea that it is normal for them to be normal or nice to everyone else and treat one person in a specific way. So, for example, you might go out to a party, it's maybe a dinner party, and then there is a person who, you know, is the narcissist or the abuser. Because an abuser isn't always a narcissist. Abuser can have just toxic traits that are narcissistic, right? Just for the sake of common, language, I'll just say a narcissistic person. They'll take you to a dinner party, for example, and they are the most polite, they are the most validating, they are the most welcoming people in the world. And then towards you, they are the complete opposite. They are passive aggressive, they are giving you little slights under the table, and they know it, you know it, and it's kind of just like no one else knows it, right? So what happens is the reason why is because it is a front. And like, let's just go back to the nervous system response. So when a person is threatened on a biological level, they will treat another person with disrespect. They will treat them harshly. They will treat them passive aggressively if they feel cowardly enough that they cannot express their aggression overtly, because that's why they're doing it. They're passive aggressive. And I just want to also note that we can all have these tendencies as well. It's not just for a person who is a covert abuser. We all have these tendencies, especially, dare I say it, women, right? So is mainly women who act like this, but it's also some men who can do this as well, especially those keyboard warriors who like to comment on videos or podcasts or anywhere, social media, because they will never say it to the face. That's like a kind of passive aggressiveness, right? So anyway, so these passive aggressive people, they will act in this way towards one person. With everyone else, even with their own children, even with people who are with them all day and all night, who literally live with them, who have been with them for years, will never see that side of them. Why? Because they feel safe around them. And when a person feels safe, it really does bring out the best of you. But when a person is threatened, it can really show you who you are. And that is why, subhanAllah, in Islam, subhanAllah means God is the most perfect. In Islam, there is this thing where it's called fitna. And what fitna means, it's a trial. And it is literally, it comes from the meaning of purification, where a gold is purified and squeezed so much that the goodness is extracted. And the reason why I give that example is because in times of trials, you get to see a person's nature for who they really are. So yes, when they feel safe, they can be the best version of themselves. They can be so charming and so nice, and they can wish the world was a beautiful place. But when they are treating someone unjustly, just because they're threatened by them, there's nothing like they've been treated in a certain way and this is a reaction because they've been hurt. It's nothing to do with that. It's this made up thing in their head that this person is a threat. That's the fundamental thing going on inside of them. This person is a threat and they will take something away from me, right? Is a lot of envy there as well. And if this person is not dealt with appropriately, then I will lose everything. And that's the fundamental reaction reaction. It's a biological reaction, which is why it's so hard to change a person who is abusive, because it's not a lot of the time cognitive. It's going under the radar. It is a biological thing. And the reason why I'm talking a lot about biology is because I am also an integrative somatic practitioner, which means I work with the body and mindfulness and kind of mind and body connection. So if you're interested in that, definitely sign up to my newsletter through downloading a free downloadable, which is under this video. And also there is a 14 lesson free course and so many other things which are amazing, which will interest you, God willing. But back to this as well. So that person who is threatened by another person, it is on a biological level. It's very difficult to change that person. So the only thing that you can do, in this situation where you have been targeted is to regulate your own nervous system, which means it can be done in so many ways. There's so many theories out there on how you can do it. You can work with me in order to help you to do that as well. But it's about regulating your emotions and the nervous system, which are all connected. Everything is connected within us, right? And regulating that so you are in a place where you feel safe enough to live your life, your best life, truly, not this illusion of, you know, there's only really me in the world and I'm important, which it never comes out like that. It's just this subconscious thought that happens to these abusers, right? Like, it's this entitlement, it's this feeling of like, oh, because I said it, it's true. And because I want it, means I have to have it. And I have to be the main attraction, even if I do it in like a hidden way, kind of thing. So that is an illusion, right? They're not trying to be the best version of themselves. They are trying to survive. They are trying to cope. It's a coping mechanism. But and you can't really help a person like that unless they want to be helped. That is with anyone. No one can help a person who does not want to be helped. They have to make that choice themselves. However, what you can do is you can begin to help yourself, and you can begin to grow, and you can begin to build that safety around you, even if that means that you take some time away from that abuser. And I mean abuser as in like people who can be really close to us. It could be your parents even. And I know in Islam there's this red mark, like never go against your parents. And that's a misconception as well, because there are parents who can be very abusive. Ibrahim alayhi salam, his father was very abusive and he went away from his father with love, right? So take the time that you need to cope and to grow and then survive and become safe. And then you can go back and build those ties of kinship in a way that may be loose in the threads, right? The ties are not very strong. They're just very loose, but they are still existing, because that is how you can exist in the best version of yourself and live your truest purpose. I hope that you enjoyed this video and have a beautiful, blessed day, everyone. Peace. By the way, just a reminder as well, there is a free downloadable of my book, The Woke Writer, and is all about letting go, is one chapter. And if you really want to take it one step further, I also have a 14 lesson course on every single chapter of my book, and you will love it, and it is free. All the details are under this video. Have a blessed day, everyone. Peace.